of December 18th has come to order. Can we please stand up for Pledge of Allegiance? And Jimmy, would you please lead us in Pledge of Allegiance? Come on, Jimmy. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. May I have a roll call, please?
Okay, roll call. Councilmember Baptista. Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember Kang.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Samra.
Present.
For the record, all council members, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor are in attendance here today.
Okay, closed session announcements. There are no reportable actions. Changes to the agenda, folks? See no changes to the agenda. We'll move on to City Council reorganization. This is to discuss and make the City Council appointments to city boards and commissions. And I think we're missing one here on the sheet for the Recreation Commission, or am I missing one? So we will add G as a City Council liaison to the Recreation Commission. Okay, as I had asked the council, I know you guys have been, everybody's been provided with the dates of the meetings. So if you have conflicts, just kind of state that, you know, sometimes people can't get away from work. So just kind of keep that in mind. So what we can do is we go by line item each, you know, A, B, C, D, E, and then what I will do is I will call for a appointment to, say item A, Merced County Association of Governments. If somebody wishes to make an appointment, they can appoint somebody. Then we need a second, and then we will move on. And then we will move on to and if it calls for a alternate for that committee as well, or for that organization. Everybody got it? Okay, so at this time, I will open up the nomination for a member and an alternate member for Merced County Association of Governments. So let's go with the member at this time, please. Does anybody wish to make a motion?
Motion, Mr. Aguilar.
As
The
member? Okay, I have a motion to make Mr. Aguilar as a MCAG member. Do I have a second? Okay. May I have roll call on this one, please?
Councilmember Baptista. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Kang.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, at this time for the alternate, does anybody wish to make a motion to nominate the alternate member to the MCAG?
I'll make a motion to appoint as alternate Mr. Garcia.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
I have a second by Councilmember Kang. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista. Yes. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Kang.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, for the item B, there is no alternate, so if a member doesn't attend, they will have somebody from another city come in. So at this time, I'd like to, I'm opening the nomination for the member to be appointed to LAFCO.
I'll make a motion to nominate Group Paul.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, a second by Councilmember Kang. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista. Yes. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Kang.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, item C, this is the representative and alternate to the Central Valley Division League of California Cities. I'd like to appoint Councilmember Baptista. Is there a second? No second? You don't want it, or? Are you looking at your calendar to see if you are able to attend, or you don't want to? Huh? No? You don't want it? Okay, then I will withdraw my motion. Is there any appointment by anybody else?
I'll make motion to appoint Garcia as a member.
Okay, I have motion by Mr. Aguilar to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Do I have a second? I will second that. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, and now for the alternate. Does anybody wish to be the alternate, or? Just point me. Huh? Who wants to be this? Does somebody want to make a motion for the second?
I'll make a motion for Maria as the alternate.
Okay, I will second that.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, and this is a member and a member for the Mosquito Abatement District Board of Directors. Does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll motion Mr. King.
Okay, I will second that, but under one condition, Mr. Kang. If there's a cockroach that can survive nuclear wars, what the hell do they put in those Cannon Raid? You know, if you can find that for me, 'cause it also kills mosquitoes too. So I will second that motion.
Okay. Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And now for the alternate member to the mosquito. Does anybody wish to make a motion? Does anybody want it?
I'll nominate Raul Garcia.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Kang to not, and do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Councilmember Aguilar. May I roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, moving on to item E. This is a special city selection committee of the San Joaquin Valley Air Control Board. Does anybody wish to nominate somebody at this time?
I'd like to nominate Maria Bautista.
Are you okay with your schedule? Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, and then is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a second by Councilman Kang. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, this is the City Council liaison for the Livingston Planning Commission. Does anybody wish to nominate somebody?
I'd like to nominate Mr. King.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem to nominate Councilmember Kang. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second by Councilmember Aguilar. May I have roll call, please?
Okay. Roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, and last but not least, this is the City Council Liaison to the Recreation Commission. I will entertain a motion at this time to nominate somebody.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Aguilar.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem to nominate Mr. Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Kang. May I have roll call, please?
Okay, roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, everybody's got assignments, so, okay. Now, going to announcements and reports. I don't see Supervisor Espinoza. He did indicate that he will not be here, so we'll do we need to, we don't need to nominate that, do you? It's strictly voluntary, right? To go. Okay, I don't see Supervisor Espinoza. We'll move on to staff announcements and reports, and I see engineering already moving up. They've already had it, they won't have another one for another month.
There you go. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mario Gouveia, City Engineer. Just a quick information on an application the city is going to be doing for CMAQ. CMAQ is, looks at reducing air pollution. So in this round, the city is looking at there you go. City, there we go. Thanks. City is doing, looking at doing some alley improvements. As you know, most of your alleys are, they're not paved. So by paving some of the alleys, we'll be reducing emissions. And there you go. So the funds are limited with MCAG. The target for one of these grants is about $500,000-$600,000 to be competitive. So staff has looked at what's out there that needs to be worked on, came up with these 3 areas as priorities. So that's what we're working on putting together for this application. It's at the end of the year, so next week. And that's basically an information item for the council. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Let me just chime in real quick, Mario. So just a little bit of background. So every year, they come up with definition of what kind of projects can actually be put forward as part of the application. And this year, actually, alleys was not a part of the scope of what can actually be done. So we pushed back and we said, you know, I mean, it was only trails and what else?
It was basically pedestrian stuff like trails,
pedestrian.
sidewalks.
And we really didn't, not that pedestrian is not important, it's very important, but we really didn't have anything that could really be competitive. So we basically pushed back and we said, no, we really would like for you to, you know, allow us to incorporate some alley work. And so the great thing is that we pushed and they obliged, and so now we came up with the project, and we will be submitting probably 2 projects.
Probably, I think we're going to try one.
Is it
Yeah,
one?
it's going to be pulled
Okay,
into
so you
one.
think that 600, between 550,000,
That's
650
what
will,
appears,
that one
that'll
area?
be competitive.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mario.
So thank you. And just a quick update on the ongoing water line project. I'm sure you've all seen it, and the contractor's working still on D Street. There's a lot of the old pipes that were unknown, so that's been kind of uncovered. So they're just wrapping that up now, and they will move on to the next street by the end of the year. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Council, any questions? If not, does the audience have any questions? If not, thank you. I see Police Department, Chief Chavez.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. A very, very short update for the Police Department. I mentioned this once, but now you see photos. We got a grant from Rite Aid for a kiosk in our lobby, so it's pretty much open 24/7. And anybody can come and dispose, again, unwanted or expired medication. We will not take illegal drugs, syringes, things like that, aerosol cans. And our lobby is for the security, it's locked at night, but there's a buzzer, and if anybody comes anytime of the evening when it's locked, just buzz the intercom, and they'll let you in, you can dispose of that. We will continue to participate in Take Back Drug Day, which is in April and October, however, but this is an option for our residents. Real quickly, we just had a report card from Department of Justice. They do a triannual inspection of when our department runs queries people for wants, warrants, histories, things like that. And it's mandatory that they do that, and the minimum rating is 95%, and I wanna recognize Deanna Soria and Maribel Arevalo. They do a great job. We actually got a 100% compliance, and so this is something that I wanna ensure that I recognize them, but also that our department is doing the right thing and not exposing ourselves to any liability, which I'm sure council will appreciate. So, and along the same lines, we also had a recent audit of our 911 system. All calls must be answered within 15 seconds, any 911 calls. They did an audit over the last year, and we had on the average 344 911 calls per month, and we had a 99% basically were answered within 15 seconds. And so again, something that we appreciate, and they're doing a great job. Maribel is our records communications manager, and she's the one who oversees our dispatch. And so this does include not only Livingston, but also Gustine as well. And lastly, if you're at the parade previous Friday, a lot of folks supported Sonny the police horse as he recovered, and he was actually the grand marshal of the parade, which is just a great time. And I know Jackie's not here, but Jackie and Tony do a great job putting that thing together, and it's a lot of fun. So anyways, that's it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions for Chief? If not, does the audience have any questions for the Chief?
Yeah, it'll be easy, it'll be easy, it'll be easy. Catherine Shell Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. I want to ask a little bit about that. The medication disposal, okay, did I understand you correctly? It would be excluding things like needles, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The reason that I'm asking, I'm wondering if you have heard of, or maybe you could look into, maybe it's not something that would be the purview of the police department per se, but I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I know many people in our community are type 2 diabetics, and there are people within our community who are insulin dependent diabetics, and we need a safe place to dispose of our used testing supplies, and the diabetics that inject insulin will need a safe place to, or do need a safe place to dispose of their injection supplies. And I was just kind of wondering if there was any possibility of setting a place up where we can safely dispose of our medical waste, for any other way of putting it, so that it's safe and it's diverted from the landfills.
Yeah, Catherine, thanks for that question. Basically the spirit behind the narcotics is so they don't get into the wrong hands, and it is a medication, whereas needles might be biohazard. I do know that I can contact our local Leslie McGowan, She probably has the answers to that, and I will look into that. But because it is biohazard, the Department of Enforcement, the Drug Enforcement Agency will not take those either, so we can't take them up there. But that is a good point. We'll look into that.
Chief, real quick, I think the Department of Public Health has a collection site, but it's in Merced.
Yeah, I'll check with Leslie, and then if not, I can check with the Department of Health. We do a lot of business with them. They're the ones that actually provided a Narcan for our personnel to carry out in the field. So,
Council, any question? Thank you, Chief.
all right, thank you.
Public Works, any reports? Planning? City Clerk, any reports? No. Okay, then I don't see anybody else. Oh, the Fire Department, please come forward. There you go.
All right, good evening, Mayor, council members, members of the public. I'm Engineer Rodriguez with the Livingston City Fire and Merced County Fire, and I'll be going over November's activity report. So for November 1st to December 1st, in the city, we had 57 medical aids, 2 vehicle accidents, 2 debris fires, 3 alarm soundings, 1 firefighter standby, and 3 public assist. For our county incidents during the same time period, we had 57 medical aids, 2 vehicle accidents, 2 debris fires, 3 alarm soundings, 1 firefighter standby, and 3 public assist. So far for 2018, we've had 1,559 calls. Incidents in our primary area, we've had 1,189 calls. Outside of our primary area, we've had 370 calls. Our PCF response to our incidents are about 66%. PCF response to station coverage is about 11%. And incidents within Livingston's initial area is about 76%. For November, the paid staff trained, walked through the Hillmar Cheese Factory. We looked at pre-plans and different hazards just in case that company had a fire of sorts. The volunteers trained on rapid intervention crew tactics, which is training how to get a firefighter out of a building just in case an emergency happens. In November, we had our annual Christmas party with the company. This is an opportunity to bond with our company and get closer to each other and become a better team. Livingston Fire Department has been involved in 2 recent parades. We were involved in the Veterans Day Parade, which was on November 11th, and we were also at the Livingston Christmas Parade on December 7th. Upcoming event, we have Santa will go around the schools December 19th and 20th, which is tomorrow and Thursday. They'll be handing out our candy to all the kids. It's our annual event. Get a chance to interact with the public and get to know us better. Holiday dangers, since it is Christmas time and it is a time of the year, we want to give you some tips for your Christmas tree safety. If it's a real tree, you need to water it daily. If it's a pre-lit tree, you need to check for wires. Lots of times they get worn out, and look for any kind of charring or any kind of spots in the wires. You want to keep the Christmas tree 3 feet from the heaters and any kind of lighted candles. And you always want to unplug your lights when you're going to bed or leaving the house. All right, that's all we have. Thank you.
Does the public have any questions for the fire department? Council? If not, Mr. Sanchez, anything to report? Nothing today. Okay, Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, our mayoral council and public, there's a few items. First, I want to invite everybody on the 8th of January. We're going to have the HDL folks that are going to be here, and we're going to be talking about the economic development plan. We do have a draft already out, so if you are interested, I can provide an electronic copy or a hard copy, and so you guys can look at it. But again, this is very, very important, and we're going to have a workshop. Again, it's going to be January 8th. I believe it's going to start at 5:30. Here, it's a Tuesday, and you're more than welcome to come along. The other item that I have is the Merced Irrigation District. As you know, besides providing water resources, they also provide electrical services. And they recently put together a draft cost service study. And so I plan on going to their meeting tomorrow. And again, they're going to be talking about their commercial and industrial electric customer draft study proposal. So what does that mean? The cost is going to go up. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'll find out tomorrow. And again, that's going to be tomorrow 11 to about 12:30 in Merced at the Merced College Workplace Learning Resource Center. Moving on to another item, we played an instrumental role over with different entities on Proposition 68, and that's basically funding for the Park Service. And why is this important for us? Well, number one is that I think we have a great opportunity to go after some of this money, especially given the great need of, more soccer fields, more baseball fields, cricket fields, and the list goes on and on and on. And so the minimum that you can ask for is about $200,000, and the maximum is about $8 million. So we have to find that sweet spot. There was actually some legislation that was written in that gave some special points if you worked with a public health advocacy type of organization. And so, of course, we want to get all the points that we can. So reached out, and so we're going to partner up with one of those entities, and they're going to help us basically host workshops here in Livingston and invite the community to talk about what the community would like to see, in our parks and anything associated with recreation. And again, that purpose is to try to get the maximum amount of points and making sure that we're in touch with what the needs of the community have today, because we've done this over the last few years, but, people's needs change, and so they want to make sure that we're writing down and incorporating what our current community needs are. So we'll let you know, especially when the dates are going to happen. And then lastly, I'm going to be, as you know, I mentioned about the industrial laundry service and the job generations that's going to create. Well, we reached out and we're partnering with a training institution, and we're going to look at providing training here locally. And so folks, right now, all I'm waiting for is the job descriptions of all the jobs that are going to be available under this new industrial laundry service that's going to happen off of Campbell and Hammett. And once I have those, then we'll be providing, coming up with a schedule of when these courses are going to happen, how long the courses are going to be. And my hope is that it'll be free to anybody who's interested in being trained. So stay tuned, excited about that, and that's all I have, unless council have any questions for me.
Council, any questions of the city manager? If not, does the public have any questions for the city manager? If not, we'll move on to councilmember announcements and reports, and we'll start out with Councilmember Baptista. Councilmember Aguilar?
Just a quick message from the Rec Commission. They're doing a fundraiser to benefit the Little Guys Park in regards to making improvements and shade in the bleachers. So their fundraiser is sales for a raffle regarding a PlayStation 4 Spider-Man edition. So the tickets are $5 or 3 for $10. So you just get a hold of the Recreation Department or any Rec Commissioner or myself. I'll be selling those as well. Just want to also inform everybody that we attended along with Mr. Garcia the MCAG One Voice meeting, and we had a good discussion regarding the planning of that trip that takes place in April. We were able to discuss or present some of our ideas representing Livingston and benefiting our people here. Some of the things we talked about were taking a project regarding public safety, specifically fire. Also, resources or services regarding veterans. So that was a beneficial meeting. So from now on, we're going to be meeting on a monthly basis. So both of us, Mr. Garcia and myself, will be attending those.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Kang?
Nothing to report?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Nothing to report.
Okay, for me, I don't really have anything to report. I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and the best in the coming new year. With that, we'll move on to the citizens' comment. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with the state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the city council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the city council as each item is brought up for discussion. Folks, any comments, public comment?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163, kind of the unofficial historian and document archivist since 2007. For the newer members of the council, I would like to present my selected reading list. In other words, everything you need to know about the city or just about in a few documents. First off is the budget, reading at least the executive summary and understanding that what a fund is and the difference between the restricted and unrestricted funds and what they're for. Also, the difference between an operating fund and a capital fund, that's important. Next is the most recent audit report. Once again, at least read the executive summary and get a feel for the financial position of the city. Next on the list is the general plan. At minimum, you need to understand the current general plan map and the kinds of zoning that are in it. Also, your agenda packet. At least the staff reports. Have an understanding of what's in it. When it comes to staff reports, one that you should all be reading, even if you do not all attend the meetings, is staff reports for the Planning Commission. We have a lot on the horizon. You should have a familiarity of the projects that may be coming before you, even before the city council meeting. Those documents will be available. You should make them of use. Same thing with utility rates stakeholders committee meetings. Even if you do not attend them, get a copy of whatever documentation is going to go before the committee. You need to review the information and be able to understand it. There is a lot that is on the horizon. And I know that because of the Brown Act and not wanting to give a sense of impropriety, you're not all going to
30
want to
seconds.
show up at the same meetings. But at least read the documents.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody coming forward, citizens' comment is now closed. We'll move on to the consent item. Before I call this up, I should have asked Jose the question, and I apologize. If you look at the warrant number 91885 on page 3, it's a, yeah. The question is, before I call this to approve, I just have a question between this and the one of the items we're coming forward. I don't want to get this one approved unless, I have a question that kind of ties. If you look at the page 4 of the agreement itself, there is a number mentioned, 214,400. It happens to be the exact amount for that warrant. And then also on the bottom, on a B, it says reimbursement as credit. Does that mean that they have, is this the same credit, or is this something entirely different?
So Mayor, great eye. You actually went through the whole agenda and found the numbers, so that's a good eye. The actual agreement and you're referring to the following item, which is a subdivision improvement agreement and final map for the Gallo project. The item that's in the packet, which is the development agreement, the council already approved the development agreement at a previous meeting. The DA for this project had a section. Now remember, the Gallo project had a previous development agreement that was entered into, I believe it was in 1997 was the original DA with Gallo for a big project out there. Throughout then, there's been 2 other amendments. This 3rd amendment includes other property. Well, what we ended up doing in negotiation with Gallo is we cleaned up a lot of items from that original agreement. That original agreement called for a payment by the city to Gallo for oversizing certain pipes, utilities, et cetera, and also had the transfer of the property of well 15 over to the city. All of that under the original agreement from 1997 was to be paid to Gallo. Well, throughout the years, I know there's been a lot of staffing changes. Your current staff now, we didn't work on the original agreement. Through our negotiations with this new agreement, that was brought up. Hey, that never happened. So we used the opportunity for the 3rd amendment, which is in your packet, which you looked into, which has been executed already, in order to clean up that item. There was work done by the engineering department as far as how much was that amount. That's the $216,400 that you see there. There was a reimbursement. We were discussing whether it would make sense in order to reimburse or in order to have as credit. The conversations happened with the Gallo folks that ended up it was better if we just made the payment instead of holding it and giving it out in credits, especially since they were going to be issuing security for the subdivision improvement agreement. We could go into more detail when that item comes up, but that is the payment.
But that is the reimbursement, that's in the, okay. I just wanted to make sure, I didn't want to get it passed and all of a sudden, they're asking for credit. I don't know what's going to be asked for credit or for actual check, and I don't want to say approve a warrant and they say we want a credit instead, so that was the question I had. So
Great
thank you very
question.
much. See, folks, I do read the agenda. Okay, consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council or city manager requests a specific item be removed. Number 2, approve the minutes meeting held on September 18, 2018. Approval of the minutes of meeting held on October 16, 2018. Approval of the minutes of the meeting held on November 20, 2018. Approval of the warrant register dated December 14, 2018. Does any council member wish to pull any item for separate discussion? If not, then I will call for a single vote. Mr. Sanchez, can you clarify that I can call for a single vote?
Yes, you can clarify it for single vote, which was a voice vote, which would be all in favor, say aye, all opposed. And then the law did change where at the end of when the vote comes, if it's unanimous, there just needs to be a verbal report. The motion passed unanimous, and if there's somebody voting no, as long as it's clarified who the person voted no is.
Okay, folks. All right. Does anybody wish to make a motion to approve the consent calendar? Consent agenda?
I'll make motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mayor Pro Tem Aguilar. All in favor, sing by saying aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Discussion and potential action items is number 6, is a resolution approving the final subdivision map. Final subdivision map and subdivision improvement agreements for the Gallo tentative subdivision map 20117-01 concerning 15.9 acres northeast of the intersection of Robin Avenue and B Street, and authorizing for the mayor to execute the agreement. This is to be brought up by, I don't see Noe here, so does engineering want to come forward, or?
Maybe we could do it. We could do it together, Mario.
Okay,
So maybe I'll start it off, Mayor.
Yeah, it said it has both names on there, so
No,
so
I
whoever
was-
wants to do it first.
I was
that's fine.
pointing at Mario as well, but he decided to not get up. The item before you, and we had a kind of a discussion about this already, but this all started with the negotiations with the Gallo folks with that project. Mario can go kind of a little more details about where this project is, but just to get in more of kind of the legal timeline of this, there was an original development agreement, like I mentioned before, 1997. There was an amendment. There have been amendments to it. The latest amendment, which was recently approved by the City Council, adds additional property to this larger project. Through the development agreement that was approved, the development agreement which allows folks to develop, invest, kind of what the fees are, the development impact fees, et cetera. Through that development agreement, there were a lot of conditions that need to be met. When a developer comes forward, some of them want to get a development agreement, but they all want to get a final map. A final map allows them to now pull building permits and start building. In order to get a final map, the city needs to look at and negotiate with a developer and saying, okay, well, what conditions do you need to have out there in order for it to make sense? What improvements, what roads, whether there's walls that need to be done, roads, different utilities that need to go out there. That's usually the negotiation with a developer. That way the developer can pay their own way and install everything that they need for that development, so the city doesn't get caught paying for things for development. As part of getting the final map, again, remember the final map is what they need in order to start pulling building permits. They need to have done all of their improvements. Well, no developer really does all their improvements by the time they get their final map if there's a lot of improvements to be done. The way they could get their final map is if they enter into what is called the subdivision improvement agreement. That's what's before you. Both the final map and the subdivision improvement are before you today. The subdivision improvement agreement, basically, it's an agreement in order to do those improvements. Basically saying, city, give us the final map. We'll do these improvements later. We're entering into an agreement to do them, and we'll also post security, usually a bond, saying this is to secure those improvements. If for some reason we breach our agreement with you, city, you can go ahead and pull those bonds in order to go ahead and get money. That's like a letter of credit or a bond that then you could go to the insurance company, the surety that gives that, in order to pull that money to go do the improvements yourself in case they breach. That item is before you, and I know that Mario could possibly go through some of those conditions, some of those improvements that need to be done out there. Please note that the resolution that is approving the final map and also approving the the actual, the final map and the subdivision improvement agreement does have conditions for the approval of the final map. They have to, of course, get the surety. Remember, we talked about the bond that, for these improvements. The bond covers the cost of the improvements in case they breach. So they have to get that in order to move forward with approving the final map. The final map will not be recorded until the subdivision improvement agreement is entered into with the proper bond to bond for the improvements. I know it's a lot of legal terms out there. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide more details if the council would like.
Well, before we do that,
I'll
Mario?
probably do a little
Yeah, go ahead.
description, basically,
Yeah,
of
go
what
ahead.
the project is. And this is a commercial development. It is behind the TA in the Motel 6 area there, and it goes all the way to Robin. I believe it's 9 commercial lots. So it will go all the way to the south to the existing basin that will be storm basin that will be reconfigured. So that's the area for that project. The streets will include a street that will extend the one that's now that now ends at the TA lot. That, well, now it's actually popped out because of Motel 6, so it'll tie to the Motel 6 road there, and it'll be punched through to Robin. So there will be improvements on those streets and on obviously Robin and some on at the corner of B and Robin. So in a nutshell, that's what the project entails.
Council, any questions or comments?
I have a question. Could you speak a little bit more about those conditions of approval?
The conditions of approval.
Specifically more in regards to like the concerns the fire department had brought forth initially regarding like the Opticom system.
That's outside the realm of engineering, so that I would probably defer to fire if they're
Can you
here.
speak about any of
Yes.
the conditions of approval?
Right, I can speak to the engineering ones, which is improvements to the roads and sidewalks, curb, gutter, street lighting, improvements to the storm drainage, reconfiguring that storm basin that's already there. Of course, sewer service, water service, all that infrastructure. That's what normally engineering covers. As part of this, these projects, you normally end up with a wall around this commercial subdivision, so you'll have a block wall around that. That'll be done as it moves forward.
Councilmember Aguilar, you wanna? I know you know what it is. Maybe just for the sake of the audience, you wanna explain to what Opticon is?
Yeah, it's a system, and basically emergency vehicles have in regards to operating code 3. Have a switch in the vehicle to turn the light green, basically.
Right. And in this one, there's no signals in this immediate area, so I believe it wouldn't apply to that. The closest one would be the existing signal already on Winton Parkway.
And Mayor, if I may, answering Councilmember Aguilar's question regarding the fire department. The fire department did come forward with different concerns over the project, and it's, there were some requests, but one way we ended up making sure that fire safety did get the funding necessary in order to accommodate. We did put a section into the development agreement, which is before you, which is the Community Facilities District for improvements, which clearly stayed out for public services, such as fire. But the issue was, let's create a CFD in order to get funds for both our fire, police, and other public services that are provided. The development agreement, if the public or the council, of course, wanted to go through it, the actual DA is broken up in several conditions by categories. For example, streets, storm drainage, water system, but it's broken up in order to, as far as categories. I know that Mario's shop did a great job of just breaking up, I know theirs,
Right.
in kind of what areas of concern there are. and they were all carefully put into the development agreement. And the subdivision improvement agreement, it's like you almost see it as the next stage and make sure we get the proper security and bonding and everything for the project.
Any further questions, Mr. Aguilar? Anybody else has any questions at this time? Anything further? Do we have the applicant here? Does applicant wish to add anything at this time? Does he wish to come forward? You don't have to, I mean, if you don't want to, but. Don't be shy. Huh? Don't be shy. We have a question of the applicant if you need it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Dan Gallagher. I'm with Coldwell Banker Commercial, Gadala Realty, and Merced. We represent the owner, representing the sale of the property. Just like to mention that we most recently have had a fair amount of activity. We have one of the lots, as soon as we can get it built, is already sold, subject to the final map. And I understand from one of our other agents that we have someone else possibly pending. So we're looking forward to having the approval and getting ready to begin construction of the new street in Court. Any other questions?
That was all, that was the reason you already answered it. Do you have any specific projects at this time? It sounds like you do.
Yes.
Okay, other than two, are there any more bites out there that you am I trying to hook in?
Not for these specific lots. We have some interest in one of the other finished lots at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any questions for Mr. Gallagher? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
This item is now open to the public. Does anybody wish to come forward, ask questions?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez. I'm going to follow up on Councilmember Aguilar's concern about the fire department. I'm looking at the letter that was submitted by the Merced County Fire Department. So what I'll start out by asking the city attorney, as part of the development agreement, there is going to be a community facilities district formed in order to raise funds to address these concerns?
The idea was yes, the idea was that the CFD will raise the funds in order for this project to pay their proportional share of what the concerns are. And that's we have other CFDs, as you know, out there
Right.
as well that are going to be contributing to making sure those concerns are satisfied.
Yeah, because I know one of the things on the list was not having the firefighting capabilities for something above the second story. That there would need to be a new piece of equipment acquired in order to be able to meet any emergencies that might occur at a second story or higher. And it had also stated that the city's growth has outpaced the size and capabilities of the fire department, and any new development would only exacerbate an increased response time using inadequate equipment and staffing. So I'm just concerned that with a development of that magnitude, that we make sure that we have the funding and can get the funding in place so that our first responders and their capabilities are not overextended.
Thank you. Anybody else? Chief, under citizens' comments?
Yeah, I just figured it's a good time to come up. Hey, one of the things I'm excited about
time
this
and 15
project,
minutes.
the one thing that I think that's going to benefit the city is not only, bringing revenue to the city, but the fact that Gallo will punch through Robin. There's a lot of traffic that goes through there, and I think it's going to be an opportunity for the larger vehicles, the big rigs, things like that, to use Robin as an alternate route to either for the ingress or egress. And I think that's going to really assist in the traffic in that area, in that intersection. So I think it's great. I think it's a good project. I think it's going to be good for the city and good for traffic.
Thank you, Chief. Well, do I have to say Ruben Chavez because of citizen comment? That is so distracting. I'm going to get you $1 to get rid of it. Anybody else? Any members of the audience? If not, this item is now closed to the public. Council, any further questions or motions?
Just a quick comment. Just want to voice again, it's no secret that I'm a big advocate for the fire department, our fire services, and I voiced several times that, we need to improve in that area as a city. So I just want to note that, obviously the letter from the fire department is very concerning. I think as working together as a council and as a city with staff, we can improve in that, moving forward. But obviously, yes, we need improvement in all areas fire service related. So I just want to make that comment.
Well noted. Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion, Council? If not, does anybody wish to make a motion?
I want to make a motion approving a resolution, approving the final subdivision map and subdivision improvement agreement for Gallo Alternative Subdivision Map 2017-01 concerning 15.9 acres northeast of the intersection of Robin Avenue and B Street in Livingston, California, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement.
I have a motion by Councilman Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And Mayor, just for the record, there were the resolution, again, and I stated this already, but just to be very clear, the resolution does have conditions, whereas the final map will not be formally approved and recorded until, and it's listed in the resolution, there's two conditions: the execution of the subdivision improvement agreement by both city and the subdivider providing the necessary security required by the subdivision improvement agreement. Now, I discussed that already, but just wanted to make that very clear.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
I just wanted to make a quick comment to Peter and his team. I look forward to continuing to work with you in this particular project. There's been, over the years, been numerous projects, and we want to continue that great relationship. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Okay, item number 7. This is the information regarding vacancies on the Planning Commission. City Council to provide staff direction for appointment to the Planning Commission. Mr. Hatch.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. We have some vacancies on the Planning Commission. Commissioner Warren Ermberger passed away in April, and our alternate commissioner, Jason Roth, has been fulfilling in that stead. That term ends at the end of this month and opens up. So that's one position. And an existing member, Commissioner Mendoza has been elected to the Community College Board of Trustees. And due to state law, you can't have two elected positions covering the same geographical area. So that position is becoming vacant at the end of this year when he takes on his new term. So we've got two vacancies that need to be filled. We do have the existing alternate commissioner, Jason Roth, that's available and has been serving. And past practices of a city council has been to appoint the alternate to one of the available positions and then advertise for an available position and an alternate. So that's an option you have. Or you could simply advertise for people interested in serving on the commission as either a regular commissioner or as an alternate commissioner, and then see who you get, have your interviews, and then decide who is you wish to appoint where. In either case, it's your decision, but you need to direct staff to advertise. And as is indicated in my report, we typically advertise for 45 days. So what we're hoping to do is advertise from December the 29th through February the 12th, and then bring those applications to you so you can evaluate them in whatever method you find desirable. And then you can staff up the planning commission so we can get on with a full commission and all the work we have to do. Is there any questions that I might be able to help?
Council, any question? Direction at this time?
So in previous times, basically the practice is to promote the alternate to a full member.
Yes, that has been. And so that would result in one vacancy for the regular member and the need for a new alternate.
I would say, since we've done this before in that manner, to do it again, and then advertise for applications.
So I'm sorry, you were asking,
So they're saying that in previous times, occasions, they promote the alternate to a full member, and that would leave a full membership and alternate position open, right?
Correct.
So for those two, we could advertise for applicants.
further discussion? So, what I'd like to see is to have Mr. Roth continue to serve. Go ahead and put out for 45-day notice and then appoint, I know that's a practice and you'll be serving at that capacity. So go ahead and advertise and then we can make the appointments at that time. There's no motion call for it, we just need to, does that seem okay to let Mr. Roth serve until 45 days and then go ahead and bring it back to us? Do we have an agreement? There you go, Mr. Hatch, you got your
Okay.
marching orders.
That's all I need.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
sorry, before I do that, this item is open to the public.
Mayor, Council, Robert Wallace, 1697 Spruce Court. Reference the vacancy on your paragraph 3 of the staff letter, due to Jason's knowledge and experience of being the alternate commission, I definitely think he should be appointed to fill the 4-year term, then advertise for the 1-year vacancy and the other 4-year alternate. And if we hadn't had him as an alternate, there would have been a couple meetings that we would not have been able to hold. So I think that is the most logical, and it is a precedence, and I think that's the fairest way to do it. And if you get 20 applicants that arrive for the 1 year and the 4-year alternate, it would be a complete departure, but possibly the candidates could come before the planning commission and give us a chance to talk to them too, and possibly make a recommendation to the city council. Now, that's never been done, but it's something for you to consider. Thank you.
Anybody else from the audience?
Catherine Shaw Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163 again. If anything, I would like to see that the alternative commissioner who came to commission meetings and made it possible to have a quorum when otherwise there would not be a quorum and things not get done. I think in this circumstance, it's only fair to move them up and take advantage of that institutional knowledge that he already has. And advertise for the second commissioner and alternate. We've got so much stuff on the horizon that we can't afford to have a planning commission meeting where there is no quorum. I have seen that happen more than once over the years, and I can tell you that applicants get a little bit upset when they come to a planning commission expecting to have their project heard and there isn't enough to have a quorum. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, the item is now closed to the public. Council, further discussion? If not, Mr. Roth, thank you for always being there. We appreciate it. We hope that you will continue so we have a quorum, and that way we appreciate that. And then we'll be back on this in 45 days to make the final decisions. Do we agree, Council? Okay. All right, then with that.
Just a quick clarification.
Go ahead.
So you want us to advertise for the regular 2-year term, or 1-year term, I guess it is, and then the 4-year alternate term?
Just advertise for everything, and we'll make our decisions.
Okay. Okay, we'll advertise for the vacancies, and just have it as that.
Council, any further business? If not, we are in adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you.